warm welcome to all of you to the 6th edition of the Economic Times Best BFSI Brands. BFSI sector, in fact, is one of the most important pillars of the nation's development. And in this edition, specifically, the overarching theme is spurring growth amidst global slowdown that actually reflects upon the resilience of the Indian economy amidst the uncertainty of global financial order. It's time to get started with our keynote address. We have the august presence of none other than Dr. Rohin Deb, who's the Chief Economist to the Government of Assam.
The banking and financial services sector has played a pivotal role in building the India story that the world today is acknowledging. Just a couple of days ago, I came across a very interesting graph that depicted the decline of extreme poverty in the country. The graph, which went viral on Twitter, shows that India's poverty elevation strategy has worked phenomenally well, where the headcount of people under extreme poverty has gone down from 125 million in 2016 to 15 million in 2022. This has been made possible by a host of initiatives and combined efforts of all the stakeholders, from the government to private players, and more importantly, due to the cooperation between the government and the private players. The unfolding of a new India, where the world today is looking up to us as a bright spot, is a testimony to the concerted efforts of various stakeholders in building this India story on strong fundamentals. Among many success stories of India, the one which stands out the most for me is how a country from global south like India has leveraged technology and its robust banking network to bring in 500 million underprivileged population under the banking fold with the Pradhan Mantri Jan Dhan Yojana, giving them access to financial services in a span of few years. This has helped the rural India today to not only save money, but also empowered them to invest in their businesses by making line of credit more accessible from the formal sector. The JAM Trinity that we all talk about, Jan Dhan, Aadhaar, Mobile, along with UPI payments today have enabled things that once seemed utopian for a country like India, be it the Mudra loans for SMEs or the DBT transfers to the neediest strata of the society during COVID-19. The financial inclusion drive by Government of India has proved to be a fantastic investment in country's future.
What we're going to do is take those insights forward and let's quickly march ahead towards our fireside chat. And it's all about implementing a future-ready risk management systems.
What would you identify as the top risk that organizations are focusing to be, future ready?
So I would reckon climate risk to be the one which the concentration has to be there. People have to become aware of, and more so, we've seen in Indian context also, where Uttarakhand we have a lot of landslides and the subsidence happening. So the game is changing. So the lenders also have to be in sync with the risks that are posed going forward.
It increases the responsibility on the organizations to ensure how do we provide and produce products which are safe. That takes to the point that the cybersecurity, therefore, becomes the top of the pack risk for the future. The digitization is not going to slow down in the coming years. What we have seen possibly is just an introduction of the pace at which it can happen. The ways of working has permanently changed. Can we think of a perimeter security the way we used to think a couple of years back, right? Now today we want access anywhere, anytime to any of the critical data, which was not the case. You used to prevent your crown jewels within your perimeters of the physical boundaries. So the cybersecurity will remain important for several other reasons. The newer technologies which are being introduced, be it AI, ML, be it IoTs, be it cloud, for example, are going to lead to the existing risks being manifested into a new way, in addition to the new risk which will emerge out of these technologies.
I'd like to please invite Mr. Sunil Mehta on the stage to please share his valuable words with us.
As India, the biggest strength we have is our demography. The largest younger generation available in any country which can produce and consume both. So this provides a very good production opportunity because you have a younger generation which is getting skilled. And it is this generation who consumes the most because their choices are more. So you have a very large market as well as the production base. So that is one major strength which the Indian demography has. The another important system, and which our India has taken as a journey, is Digital India. We all should feel proud that India is doing the largest number of digital transactions in the world. We have outsmarted even China in this. And thanks to UPI, thanks to the digital innovation, I can proudly say that even the NPCI concept was seeded in the IBA, because IBA is one of the institutions which promotes the banking and the financial related institutions, which is for the common use of the entire industry. Today, the type of conveniences that is available to our Indian citizen is unparalleled. Nowhere in the world such a easy access to the digital financial transaction is available. So keeping all these things in mind, I have a strong conviction that India is really a shining star in the world economy and is prepared to face any shocks. We have been facing it, have come out successfully, and are prepared for future also.
Next discussion coming your way, and this time it's again a fireside chat on creating a future-ready business model wherein we will be leveraging customer data to drive growth.
Aadhaar is into affordable housing, right? And the play there is very, very niche, very, very limited. I think then the cost of acquisition strategy, that's the key for you in terms of the overall data. We are more curious to understand how have you managed that journey, because that's the operating leverage that you have.
When we are looking at cost of acquisition, by default, the cost of marketing, etc., come into being. And when you talk about marketing, typically marketing is done for primarily 3 reasons. One could be to create an intent for a product which the customer otherwise might not have an intention to buy. It could also be that the intent exists, but then the awareness doesn't. So creating the awareness about a certain product or a company. And the third could be that both intent and awareness exist, but let's say the impulse or the conversion need to be brought in.
Our next panel actually will give us answers to the very big question as to how does a healthy consumer financial basket look like?
Sadaf, what have been the drivers of financial inclusion till date?
Financial inclusion, as we know, is very, very important in terms of uniform growth across the country, and it has been driven largely by the government-led initiatives. So I think government has been in the forefront of driving financial inclusion by mandates which has been there for a longest time is priority sector lending. So one of the targets for the bank is almost 40% of their lending has to be going towards the priority sector. So that has been the cornerstone for financial inclusion. But lately, I think government has played a major role in terms of creating an enabling infrastructure, which is like the JAM Trinity. You have the Jan Dhan accounts, your Aadhaar, and then mobile penetration across the country. So that has played a key role.
Coming to Deepu, we've seen a lot of financial inclusion initiatives, like Sadaf said, being taken over the past few years or past few decades. Despite that, there are some who are still today financially excluded. Do you see there is a wallet, or do they have savings, do they have income for financial players or other entities to tap them?
So let's look at what are some of the schemes that we have. On the one hand, you do have microfinance, and we have Sadaf and others here who can talk about it in terms of how there's a specific product catering to people at at the bottommost levels of society. The other is the government also has played a key role, right, in terms of enabling infrastructure and also trying to put money in people's wallets. And especially if you look at insurance, the sector that I represent, I think there are 2 ways by which we ensure that. One is micro insurance, and there have been some specific recommendations around that in terms of having smaller bite-sized products for this segment. The other area where insurance comes in is see, we come to your aid when you are in tough times, right? And there are studies which show that if you take health insurance, one major event, and a lot of people slip into the poverty line, rather slip below the poverty line, right? So if we can, for example, insure them, because the beauty of insurance is you don't need to necessarily have, money in your bank, so to speak, right? It's when an event goes wrong that somebody comes to your aid. So I think a combination of all this, right? Government action, microfinance, insurance in its various forms. I think all these are efforts geared towards, ensuring inclusion of a financial wallet for the disadvantaged sections of society.
Our next conversation is all about how to negotiate market volatility for long-term gains.
I'm sure there are solutions around it to handle market volatility and reduce risk in the portfolio.
Last 2 years, all the COVID years, we've only seen it one way. I think having a long-term, first of all, having a 5+ year outlook in for equities is a must. I don't think 1-2 years is going to cut it anymore. Last 1 year, 1.5 years, markets have been flat. I think going forward, the next 1.5 years can also be flat. There's no direction in the market right now. There's a lot of uncertainties. There's not much positives right now. So people need to stay the course. One of the way to deal with volatility is to invest via SIPs or systematic investment plans, instead of doing lump sum investing. I think what SIPs does is that every month your money will be debited. Every month in a disciplined way you will be investing. And to see the good times, you have to invest in the bad times. I think it's lost here that to make money in the markets, you have to invest, you have to buy low, sell high. What we've been doing the last 2 years, or what I have seen a lot of the younger generation doing the last 2-3 years, is that they've been buying indiscriminately when valuations are high, and now they're selling, which doesn't serve the purpose. In fact, continue your SIPs, start your SIPs, and have it going at least for 5 to 7 years.
Let me also inform you that our research partner, Coherent Market Research, they managed to use a two-pronged approach of secondary research coupled with primary, and that's where they managed to conduct a study on 500 companies, of which we found a varied mix of inspiring brands with unique set of challenges. And out of that, 200 companies were shortlisted. And what we did is we actually invited these companies to also share their success stories in the form of a coffee table book. So what we're going to do is actually go ahead and launch that coffee table book. So there you go, a very crystal clear coffee table book that says Economic Times Best BFSI Brands. This is the coffee table book that is actually encompassing all the success stories of the 200 brands, and we managed to share these stories with their consent mainly. Let's get the felicitation started, ladies and gentlemen, and our very first brand to be felicitated as the Economic Times Best BFSI Brands, ladies and gentlemen, Aavas Financiers.
I think one has to really look at two aspects of business, which is phygital. So I think we believe firmly in the part of brick and mortar as well as a tech. So some part of brick and mortar, which is a touch and feel, and how do you integrate it with the back-end processes which are moving across. So I'll just give you an example. We are invested heavily into technology to get a tech-ready bank platform, which will help us to source digitally, to underwrite digitally, as well as not move away from our key areas of touch and feel of the customers. So it's a mix of a brick and mortar as well as a AI/ML tool which helps us to get the phygital side. So we believe that that is very important. It's a need of the hour. So what we've seen is that post-COVID, I think the kind of digitalization and the kind of awareness which is there in Tier 2 to Tier 3 to Tier 5 towns, I think they are much ahead of the curve. And as organization, as an institution building era of our stuff, I think we are poised to take that leap. And I think it is a necessity and need of the hour.
Moving ahead, we now invite on stage Annapurna Finance. Let's now hear it for iCart FinTech. ladies and gentlemen, Bajaj Allianz General Insurance. Let's have a huge round of applause as well.
Build an organization with high level empathy. Build an organization with high level of customer solutioning or figuring out what is the problem that is solved. When you combine these two together, when you have high empathy and obsession to be of benefit to society, then you can always take your organization to be future ready, because that is what it is all about. It's about solving the issues that a customer has, finding things that you feel that are beneficial from either an experience perspective or from a care perspective or from some new innovation perspective, which makes the life of customer easier, a bit different from what it was, a bit better from what it was yesterday. And if you get that right, your organization will always be future ready.
Now let's hear it for electronic payment and services.
Banking and financial services sector is no more going to be isolated from whether you call it as the retail or the industry sector, MSME sector. Future of actually the BFSI will be more on the ONDC, OKN and basically CBDC. So I see basically the integration happening between all the three players, all the three verticals, and thereby this will basically create a real-time payments and real-time commerce happening for the benefit of the consumers, the industry and the banking system in place.
Let's move ahead and let's invite Hero Housing Finance. Moving ahead, let's keep that applause going as I now invite IDBI Bank. Let's now hear it for Indian Bank.
Analytics has become an integral part of banking in recent years. Banks are using the customer data to get about the customer preferences, needs, behavior, conduct, etc., so as to offer products to them and manage the risk and operational efficiencies.
Let's now hear it for Knight Fintech.
We see co-lending also as the biggest tool for financial inclusion, which offers a unique win-win proposition. If we talk about customers first, customers get benefit in terms of cheaper and faster loans. If we talk about NBFCs win by leveraging cheaper access to capital as well as the leverage that they get under the co-lending arrangement. And if we talk about banks, the banks also get the benefit. Banks also win with the access to the market that they are not lending traditionally. Further on, in addition to this, there are several technical challenges under the co-lending related to operational as well as accounting reconciliation related, which could very well be solved using the technology. We are already seeing a massive demand for co-lending, looking at over 30,000 crores in assets to be flown to the platform, being managed by the platform actively. We are already working with some of the biggest banks as well as NBFCs into the industry.
Marching ahead, I now invite on stage Muthoot Mini Financiers.
Today, it's all about creating a business model which is more customer-centric. So whatever technological or infrastructure investment which the company usually plans for should be towards making customer experience more seamless. So today, financial institutions have a lot of information on the customer. So utilizing this sort of information that we have to better enhance the experience for the customer is what it is all about. So today, making your business future-proof, it's all about investing in customer-centric and bringing out products which are more customer-centric.
Let's hear it next for Pay Nearby. Let's have a healthy round of applause. Let's hear it for Niva Bupa Health Insurance.
The three large challenges for the sector today is about comprehension. A lot of Indians do not understand basic things like insurance, what are the different things, etc. The second one is about personalization. You have to serve 140 crore people, and different people want different thing, or different people may require different things. So that third challenge that the sector has to address is this multiple business lines or this product confusion that's all about.
With that, let's move ahead. And up next, ladies and gentlemen, NSDL Payments Bank. The next brand that's being felicitated, Orange Retail Finance India. The next brand that's being felicitated, Probus Insurance Broker. Moving ahead, we'd now like to invite on stage Shriram Life Insurance. Let me invite SVC Cooperative Bank, ladies and gentlemen. The next brand that's also being felicitated, ladies and gentlemen, TVS Credit. The felicitations continue, ladies and gentlemen. Let's now hear it for You Grow Capital. Let's march ahead, and now let's invite Universal Sompo General Insurance. Let's hear it, ladies and gentlemen, for Vivriti Capital. Can we have a louder round of applause? Vivriti Capital. The next ET Best BFSI brand, ladies and gentlemen, YONO SBI. Let's march ahead and invite the next brand that's being felicitated, Nadan Ark. Let's take these celebrations and these conversations forward until we see you in our next edition. Thank you once again. This is Kavya signing off.